Hello, and welcome to A Word of Hope for Friday of the 24th week of Ordinary Time. Today's first reading from St. Paul's first letter to the Corinthians is all about the resurrection. And as I pondered it last night, I thought of the song by Bart Millard, I Can Only Imagine, talking about what it might be like when we arrive in heaven. And the refrain of that song is magnificent. It sings, surrounded by your glory, what will my heart feel? Will I dance for you, Jesus, or in awe of you be still? Will I stand in your presence, or to my knees will I fall? Will I sing hallelujah? Will I be able to speak at all? I can only imagine. I can only imagine. Friends, I invite you to Google that song. My favorite is by my composer friend John Angadi from Memphis, Tennessee, who has a beautiful rendition of the song on YouTube. Paul talks about the resurrection and about the power and the meaning of Jesus' resurrection and our being connected to it. And he says if Jesus hasn't been raised, then our faith is in vain. And if we're only hoping for what this life has to offer us, then we are the most pitiable of people. There is something so much more. And we are called to believe in the more. We have to deal with death and dying all the time, don't we? You and I are constantly confronted with what our faith is in the resurrection. And we constantly renew that with every funeral that we attend. I remember a few years ago, one of our dear, dear friends from my Dominican Festival choir died. Her name was Kathy. And before she died, the choir decided to come together in her hometown where we could sing with her one last time and we could have a mass together and anoint her. When we got there, we met at a restaurant first before we went to the house for liturgy, and we had a beautiful breakfast. Kathy arrived with the 50 or so of us that were there, and her head was all wrapped because of her loss of hair over the chemotherapy. And everyone, one by one, got up to greet her, embrace her, when we could still embrace one another in public. It was so beautiful. And as one of my other choir members and best friends sat next to me, tears were streaming down her face. And I said to her, honey, what's the matter? And she looked at Kathy and everyone hugging her and looked back at me. She said, I don't think we get much closer to heaven than this. It was so true. Kathy died, of course, and we miss her tremendously. But that day, that whole day, it was like we were already with one foot in heaven. Not just Kathy, but all of us. St. Catherine of Siena said, all the way to heaven is heaven. My friends, read this gospel today in the first reading from St. Paul. It's a great opportunity for you and I to just rest in resurrection, to rest in redemption, and to thank God for the hope that is promised to all of us. God bless you.